Catherine Parr, the forgotten queen who saved England. Subscribe to the channel Lived History and leave a like on the video. Divorced, beheaded, dead, divorced, beheaded, survived. This phrase has served for centuries to remember the fate of Henry VIII's 6 wives. But what is behind the only wife who survived? This is the story of Catherine Parr, Henry VIII's last wife, a woman who not only managed to keep her head on her shoulders, but also to dominate a man who had up to that point divorced 2 wives and had 2 others executed. However, her story is far from a fairy tale. Catherine was born in 1512 into a noble family. Her mother, a lady-in-waiting to Catherine of Aragon, gave her an exceptional education for a woman of the time. She proved to be intelligent, curious, and ambitious, learning languages, philosophy, and theology, skills that would shape her character. Before becoming queen, Catherine married twice. Her first marriage was to Sir Edward Berg, a young nobleman of relative importance at court, whom she married around 1529. However, the union was brief. Berg died in 1533, leaving Catherine a widow at the age of 21. Soon after, Catherine remarried to John Neville, Lord Latimer, a man 19 years older than her. During this marriage, she found herself involved in the political tensions of England. In 1536, during the Pilgrimage of Grace, a Catholic revolt against the religious reforms of Henry VIII, the Latimer family was taken hostage in their home by the rebels. Catherine showed great cunning, managing the situation with diplomacy, protecting her husband and ensuring their loyalty to the king. After more than 10 years of marriage, Neville died in 1543. Catherine, a widow for the second time, found herself in a privileged position. She had financial independence, access to the court, and an above-average education. Soon after her widowhood, Catherine fell in love with Thomas Seymour, a charismatic and ambitious man. But before they could marry, Henry VIII decided to take her for himself. Rejecting the king was not an option, so that same year Catherine Parr became his 6th wife. By 1543, Henry VIII was an old and sickly man, plagued by leg ulcers and severe obesity. Despite this, he remained the most powerful monarch in England. When he laid eyes on Catherine, she had no choice but to accept. On July 12, 1543, she officially became Henry VIII's 6th queen consort. From the beginning, Catherine understood that being a queen was not just about wearing a crown, but about fighting for survival. Instead of remaining in the shadows, she became one of the most influential women at court. In 1544, when Henry left for a military campaign in France, he left Catherine as regent of England. It was the first time a woman had ruled the kingdom with full power, a precedent that would be followed years later by her stepdaughter Elizabeth I. Catherine also played a key role in family reconciliation. Henry VIII had a tense relationship with his children. Mary had been disinherited after the annulment of her parents' marriage, while Elizabeth had been declared illegitimate after the execution of her mother, Anne Boleyn. Catherine managed to persuade Henry to restore both of them to the line of succession, a success sanctioned by the Third Succession Act of 1544. In addition to being the first queen to publish a book under her own name, Catherine supported women's education and the Protestant Reformation. However, the latter endangered her. Some of her advisors plotted to bring her down, accusing her of heresy. Henry, fickle and unpredictable, signed a warrant for her arrest. Catherine was in danger of suffering the same fate as Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, but she managed to save herself with cunning. When the king confronted her, she feigned submission, saying that she spoke of religion only to learn from his wisdom. Flattered, Henry pardoned her life. When Henry VIII died in 1548, the throne passed to his 9-year-old son, Edward VI. Against all odds, Catherine Parr did not fall from grace. With the king dead, she thought she could finally live in peace, away from the snares of the court. Only 4 months after Henry's death, Catherine secretly married Thomas Seymour, causing scandal. Despite criticism, she lived happily with Seymour. However, what seemed like a fairy tale soon turned into a nightmare. Seymour, ambitious and calculating, aimed at absolute power. In their palace, they hosted the young Elizabeth Tudor, the future Elizabeth Thurtner, then 14 years old. Soon, Seymour's inappropriate behavior toward the young princess began to arouse suspicion. Historians debate how far he went, but one thing is certain: Catherine found out. Although she tried to downplay the incident, she eventually pushed Elizabeth away to protect her. At the age of 35, Catherine became pregnant for the first time, a rare and risky event for a woman of her age. She retired to Sudeley Castle, where in 1548 she gave birth to a daughter, Mary Seymour. Unfortunately, the joy was short-lived. Catherine fell ill with puerperal fever, a deadly infection at the time. Consumed by the disease and in the grip of delirium, she accused her husband of poisoning her. At dawn on the 5th of September, 1548, Catherine Parr died, far from the pomp of the court. Thomas Seymour, instead of mourning her, continued to pursue his ambitions. He attempted to manipulate the young King Edward VI and even marry Elizabeth Tudor, but this was seen as high treason. Only 6 months after Catherine's death, Seymour was arrested and executed. Their daughter, Mary Seymour, was orphaned. Although she received foster care for a time, she disappeared from historical records at an early age. Her fate remains a mystery. Catherine Parr's story is not one of public execution, but one of sacrifice, difficult decisions, and a constant struggle for survival. Yet his memory has been tarnished by history. That's all for today. Let me know in the comments what you think of this historical event and write it in the comments. See you next time. Bye.